Hey, guys.
Hey, Romero.
What's up, everybody? This is the poker coaching study session. Today we have a look at a brand new post-flop ICM solver. So I played with it a little bit. Is there a spot you guys wanna see?
Yeah, I think,
So
a
like,
good idea would probably be to kind of like, so a little of the work I've been doing on the side is trying to compare some flop simulations for like final table compared to Chippy V. So maybe pick a spot on a couple different textures, 40 big blinds, button versus big blind kind of situation.
yeah.
I
So,
got a spot where I punted the other night, I think. Really played it poorly.
We will, look at individual hands after we do this little,
Okay.
little bit. This sounds like a
letting
good
you know.
idea though.
so how
Yeah,
about this one? Around 40 big blind effective with a lot of pressure because too short stack.
Personally,
Uh,
we can do this, but at some point I would love to see some 10% work because that's the one thing Wizard doesn't have.
It does.
Not for big fields, no.
No, it doesn't.
It has final three tables and it has near bubble. It has nothing in between.
Alright,
Well, this is day
Okay.
one, so let's just get something going, right?
So check this
Yeah.
one out, guys.
Danny,
So
10%,
I
No,
choose
Joey, it's fine. We
the
can talk later.
scenario, and then once I choose the scenario, the two ranges appear. And then I can scroll down. And I can click solve post flop.
What's edge?
That just shows a portion of the range. And it shows the equity buckets at the bottom. I'm gonna show you later.
It
Um,
has, yeah, it's kind of cool. It basically just puts a color gradient on the EV edge of all of the combos to continue.
so basically, final table, 8 max, we chose this one. And it's pretty fast, right? Versus RFI, big blind versus button. Bam, bam. Solve. And then. We pick a flop. What kind of flop would we like?
So
And
we
it-
need to do a couple different ones. So like, I think an ace high dry flop would be kind of interesting. I think a low connected flop would be kind of interesting. And then like. Something that's gonna have really polar sizings, I would say. Um. Maybe like a 10 high or 9 high with a flush draw or something.
Alright,
So you can start with the ace high dry, I think will be good. Yeah, ace jack 3 is pretty reasonable.
So there's no sims, right? We studied the ranges, how the ranges play.
oh no.
No,
there's
no, 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 no. So the way it works, Ken, is this is a cloud-based solver and they have a pool of hands that they're drawing from it's an AI-based thing. So it extrapolates from the solutions it has to solve some of the solutions that you give it. And then every solution that it solves, it adds to the pool. So it becomes more and more and more and more precise over time.
Yeah,
I did some beta testing work with it, comparing like some of what their outputs were compared to like GTO Wizard and some Pio stuff, and it's actually really good. It's more aggressive in some spots, but it's pretty quality. Yeah.
so this is basically the flop strategy for the button, A side kind of dry board. He's betting almost range, only checking 2% of the time. You can adjust the bet size, but I left it to 20 and 50 and 100 for here. So it's just going like 60% of range, bet 20. And now against a small bet, this is how the big blind's gonna respond. So first off, hang on, let's go back one notch. We compare this to the Chippy V response. Very similar, Chippy V check 0%. So maybe we check a little bit more here,
Hmm.
and then the size. We
Yeah, look at the
actually
polarity.
bet 50% of the pot, 40% of the time here, whereas here. It's only used. What?
It seems to be more polar, like you have some 125 and like basically pot size coming in.
Yeah.
Where the large sizing kind of shifts down around 50% of the pot.
But
What-
how,
what are-
but how, how big is the big blind in the sim, in the ICM, and what are the other stacks also?
We kinda went over that when we initially set it up, Romano. It's a spot where they're both basically close to 40, so I think it's 38 opens. Or 40 defense or something.
Could you just go back for a second? I make a screen and I put the screen next to on my screen so I can see it all the time. That would be like really good.
Do you have the, yeah, I
Give
don't,
me a quick second.
One question I had, do they have an option for geo sizing also?
you can customize bet sizings on every street.
Okay, so that's good.
Cause I know their
That's
chip
okay.
EV, they incorporate geo a lot, so
So
I,
this is where I wanted to go, Ken. Okay, so
Yeah,
check this one out. So once we have the range and play, we can add here. So what would you like to see?
I was just wondering, do they
Oh my
actually
goodness.
have a geo sizing
80%?
option?
And then an overbet, just for fun, we're gonna leave the overbet. And
You should
then,
add a 30.
Do they
You got
still,
20.
do they do this
We
for
got
chipping
20.
V?
You're not gonna see any overbetting in this spot, I would
maybe a
think.
55 here,
Depends
just
on the
to be
flop.
closer to our.
Yeah, I
No,
agree that if we're talking
I
about ace
think-
high flop, if there's gonna be
Yeah.
any overbetting, it's gonna be like jack ten deuce or something.
It
And
just
look at
depends on
how easy it is to customize. I really like this part.
Yeah,
In ICM,
You
I
can change
really
sizing and it's
don't think you're
really
gonna see
quick as
much
well. Bam.
in
It's
general.
always. See I don't know if they're gonna be able to maintain this quality of product, but if it stays like this, it's really amazing. Like bam,
also,
here we go.
yeah,
Change sizings. Check. Now we have 20, 55, 80, 150. And is it picking with the 150 a little bit?
not
1%.
really. There's
No.
1%, 1%.
slivers.
Even
And it
the.
looks like it's coming from
the
like your ace, king,
yeah.
queen nine's doing some crazy stuff.
Look at like ace, 6, 5, two-tone or something, maybe it'll do it.
Alright, now like we can compare a little bit and see the differences. Actually, what's the 20%? So it's gonna bet small most of the time, the button bet small on a sideboard. So this is the big blind's response, and this is where it gets really interesting, cuz there's two short stack on this table, right? So do we
Right.
think, is the big blind raising more or less at chip on a final table?
I don't remember if he was covered or not.
It's probably about the same,
It's
maybe a
got
little bit,
two big
tiny bit
blinds.
more,
Think he's more aggressive, right?
tiny bit.
I
Let's
think
see.
it's probably going to be less aggressive.
I would think less too, unless, I mean,
Alright.
they have the same stack, right? So I would think
It's about,
less.
it's about the same.
14%.
Well, if they have the same stack, then it's they have really high risk premiums against each other. So
So globally, it is about the same, a little bit less, but I think also it's forcing a larger sizing here, which may play into it a smidge. Like there's 90 combos, it looks like, that are check raising compared to how many we have in the whiz.
I mean, it was 7%. This is 13%. It's almost double.
No, there was two sizings,
Oh,
Louis.
two sizing.
100.
Are they using the
100
same
now.
regions?
Oh, is
That's,
that the same thing then?
is it consolidating the regions more? or Is it still spread out as much?
It looks similar.
So like the range is different a little bit, right? Cuz here, we three bet more of the linear stuff and here we had all the pairs. And then we have more aces. The first thing I noticed, it seems to pick less like kicker oriented check raises. You know?
What do you mean?
Yeah, well, this one like is gonna pick like.
Ace seven, ace eight, ace nine
It's,
compared
you're still
to,
check raising the strongest aces though.
Yes, but here you're check raising 2, whereas here you're check raising 4.
Ah, yeah, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
that's because the,
So
The-
it seems to, from the other ones I've seen, it seems to be check raising as often, if not more. But it's doing less of the top pair, like ace eight, like ace seven, for example, here.
yeah, it's kinda nice though, because it's gonna give us the ability to almost do one-to-one comparisons. Like we can put all the GTO wizard
Yeah.
sizings in.
Yeah.
And then we can kind of compare like ICM scenarios, as long as we get something that's comparable, because the only challenge that we do have here is I don't think. You might do, I don't remember, you don't have symmetrical ICM spots in GTO Wizard, so. Um. And they're not gonna have the same asymmetrical one, so you just gotta kind of best fit it.
Yeah, for sure.
I
But it's a
think you
it's a,
have symmetric, don't you? Just not post flop.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't have it.
Yeah,
Does this solve the
I'm
turn?
sorry. Chippy V was what I was trying to say. So
Does
we
this
can't
solve turns and rivers too?
okay.
Yes.
Yes, Joey. It goes all the way.
So eventually. Poker Academy is gonna be better than GTO Wizard.
It's gonna. take a
Well,
while.
Race.
These have all the solutions. These have no solutions.
so the
Oh,
one big
they don't have
drawback
enough
right now
solutions yet?
for pre-flop academy or for Poker Academy is they don't have all of the fancy range breakdown and aggregating tools. But they will get there, I'm sure. That's
But
the one big selling point that GTO
this
Wizard has.
year will come like to post flop ICM solutions. It's gonna be a lot closer than anything else.
I know,
Super easy to customize. It's really nice, fast. You can like pick the range you want. Honestly, it's a really high quality tool. I love it.
Yeah,
It's really a good product so far.
yeah, we haven't seen any post flop ICM solves yet, so.
Only comment I would make, if we're gonna do side by sides, we probably have to use Pio because the ranges are different.
Well, that gets into what I'm trying to do, Ken, right now. Like I was talking at the beginning of the session, I'm trying to run an aggregated report, aggregated subset of, a flop subset in Pio. And I wanna compare that 1-to-1 with, the Chippy V one, and then we can also compare that to what Poker Academy is kinda spitting out. So we can, we're working on that.
I don't think it's a problem that the ranges are different. I mean, it's just interesting to see how the things shift when you have different components of your range, right? Like,
So
the
this,
heuristics still apply. We're still check raising our
Yeah.
best ace. But now we
this
have sets
portion
too that we,
here
yeah.
is really different.
So we're raising less aces LP probably, but is.
Less
Danny
less
just says we
aces,
have
but more,
cause we have sets that we
more,
wouldn't have.
more shenanigans, right?
Well, we have sets that we wouldn't have, so we don't have to use this. We're pulling some of our value from sets instead of pair of aces.
Well, that's because you have sets in range now,
Yeah.
which kinda changes the ebb and flow of the situation compared to Chippy V.
The bluffs
But,
are roughly the same, but value just shifts slightly different, just a little
Yeah.
bit.
Well, and, it
Well-
would be also kind of interesting to consider, alright, so like, let's play check raise. So play raise and look at the continuing ranges once facing
Yeah.
aggression. So. This is this scenario,
Facing the, yeah.
not much raising back, so like 14 combos, continuing with 60% compared to.
Yeah, just do the side by side again. If you can.
Yes, sir.
It's strikingly similar as far as like global frequencies go. So like folding 37, I can't see the wizard global frequencies.
The wizard is folding 38%.
So folding a bit more,
Calling 56%.
the wizard also has a bit more in range. I think this range, the RFI range is a bit more that they show up with here, so. That, I think that still makes sense. Uh. The raising range, I guess, is about the same. I can't see. Oh, wait, no,
These
can't,
Queen five suited shenanigans. It was both check raising and now the opponent is three betting flop with queen five suited.
Yeah. That is a bit shenanigans.
yeah, it's the bluff, I guess.
I guess you block top of big but I don't know, block ace queen.
It's ace 8-4, right? So having a five is the double backdoor straight draw card.
A 5 with an overcard with a backdoor flush.
It's
is-
also like the upper guard to the bottom. So
It's
That's
almost the Lewis special, but it's the
Yeah.
queen five, not the queen six.
Queen 6.
I mean, you can see it likes all of the fives, like king five, queen five, jack five, fragments of all the other fives.
Raising some more value too. It's raising the set of aces, set of fours, set of eights, where in the chip EV, it's not raising any of those.
Mhm.
And then
But
from
we
what,
need to be-
I
but we need to-
understood,
yeah, go on.
from what I understood, it's saving the solutions like this. So we ran one a little bit. So it's gonna save it. And then they're gonna come with the more use it has, the more it's gonna have like pre-save ones.
Oh,
And then I don't think it's gonna take a long time before we have something very similar to the wizard there.
Yeah, so it's a AI thing. It's kinda like Chat GPT or Mid Journey.
Yeah.
Where it's saving these things and learning from all of the database it's building up and refining the solutions. It was kind of
Yeah.
interesting how it works when it was explained to me.
Yeah,
So
this
some-
is, this is a perfect application of AI.
Yeah.
Because it's all mathematical data that can be learned by the computer easily.
So
Yes.
some of these solutions can change in a couple weeks if they build up more data.
I
Absolutely.
doubt that, Joey, at this point. I think they've had the beta testing for this going on for a few months now. So I'm sure they have a pretty extensive, well-rounded pool of hands that they're already pulling from, but I mean, there may be
It's-
like fractional errors that are kind of getting refined as it keeps going from this point.
Okay.
And
But
like
it'll get-
as,
It's
it'll
possible
get
though.
better. Yeah,
It
yeah,
is-
for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And as they keep adding more and more pre-flop solutions to their pool, like, they may not have a big sample of 4 max final table right now in their post-flop solving pool. So like, as people keep adding to these and running these solves, it'll start refining some of the more nuanced spots, you know?
Yeah, the solutions is very similar facing a check raise. It's like almost the same.
I think it's slightly more
And-
polar
Well,
with
no,
the
I-
raising back,
it-
but
to be honest, I wouldn't look too far into it right now because you're comparing a situation where there was only one check raising size. So it's grouping everything into there as opposed to having 2 check raising sizes. So you don't know if it's preferring a smaller check raise versus the bigger check raise, or how that, some of that
Mhm.
stuff's gonna affect all the frequencies.
Yeah, but there's no like obvious like heuristic like, oh, now it's folding bottom pair more. It's still calling all down.
What's this edge button does, Louis, which you just
So-
clicked?
So the edge button I explained a little earlier. So you know how like every hand in the range has a particular EV to continue with, Maxi? So like the fringes will be closer to 0 where aces is gonna be the top
Oh.
end. It basically will just create a color gradient showing you what those EVs are in a map. So if you hit edge, you see how the browner it is compared to oranger. The oranger, the higher EV, the browner, the more marginal of a defend it becomes.
And you
Okay,
can
but-
see
but-
here how it splits the EV buckets from 0 to 0.05.
Mhm.
And
But all brown ones, the light browns are the same EV then, yeah, all of them.
Well, they fall into the range, whatever the brown color's been defined as. So like the brown color, the brownest of colors looks to be at 0.11 to 0.2.
Okay.
There's a starker contrast when you're playing like versus aggression. So if you were playing like a 3-bet, you would see a more clear definition.
All right.
Alright.
what is the simplified strategies there also?
The simplified strategy just breaks the fractional continues to round numbers. So if something's defending 28.4% of the time, it's just gonna round it down to 25 so you can implement it easier. If something's opening 82% of the time instead of 100, it's just gonna simplify that to a full frequency open.
Okay.
What flop are you using, Louis?
Is the trainer as good as wizards? So the trainer, I don't think they have a post flop trainer yet, Jared. No, it's all good, man. I don't think they have the post flop trainer yet. The pre-flop trainer is, I would say, better than GTO wizards because it's designed around that. It's definitely, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I like the trainer. I think I used it. I think Sixes used it in his study session.
Yeah, it's definitely well designed. It's very good. The post, I'm sure they'll get a post flop trainer. Like I said, this product, their post flop tool has just launched like, I don't know, 48 hours ago or something.
Yeah. So look at this. Already more leads.
So, alright, in my independent studies I've been doing with some ICM work, so one defining heuristic that you see in some of these ICM spots that I've run is because the opening ranges are tighter. There's more gaps in the lower end of the defense range. So, or I'm sorry, in the more, there's more gaps in the open end, at the bottom end of the opener's range. The defense range will often donk at higher frequencies than the very specific cases that we see in chip EV. So, you'll have, I think I've seen spots with like almost full frequency donking. Like if you get a low board versus like EP in a high risk premium spot. So if the initial opener should have a tighter than usual range and the big blind has a very wide range because maybe they cover. Some of these low textures, you'll see a very high frequency donk. That's one of the big differences that, heuristically that I've seen. For the people who are wondering about that kind of stuff.
Even when you're covered.
Well, yeah, it's just like, if you get like a 3-4-7 flop. And the opener just has none of that in their range. It's just gonna go bananas.
What sizing, Galen?
I haven't gone that deep into it, Kelly. I think it's still typically small. Poker Academy premium subscription is 99 a month. Yeah, Jared, it is a little more expensive than GTO Wizard. The one thing that Preflop Academy has over GTO Wizard is like 3 to 4 times as many preflop solutions in different arrangements. They've got asymmetrical, more asymmetrical options and,
Yeah, but hang on, you can get it for free right now.
yeah, so they're
All
running
you have
a,
to do- All you have to do is to head over Twitter. And go head out, check out Pavel Sosik PL's Twitter account. The link is here, I'm gonna post it. Then they're giving away 10 free premium accounts. I think all you need to do is like and retweet. So you can get
Yeah.
it for free.
Yep, that's right.
The message, the Twitter is in the chat. So,
Yeah, and it is 99 a month right now, but, it's got a little more flexibility with its solving options. And like I said, it's got like 4 times as many, pre-flop sims and stuff.
I
So-
think it's great for like
Well-
ICM stuff.
Go hit the retweet, maybe you can get it for free.
Mhm.
Do some training.
What?
Yeah, can we train with it a little bit?
It doesn't have solutions right now, so we have to go one at a time. So now I decided I wanna see like a pair board. Do
Let me
we
ask you-
raise like upper danglers as much?
Can you upload like a final table hand history to it?
I don't think so.
I don't, so like, that's kinda what I was saying, like, they don't have all of the bells and whistles that GTO Wizard has currently. As far as being able to do like more training work post flop. Like, you're not gonna be able to just to train different spots. It's basically like it's more of a PIO function right now where you just kind of put in hands and you can do this comparative analysis.
Alright.
They will have more training features with it soon, I'm sure.
I'm struggling with the comparisons because the ranges are in some cases vastly different, so I just feel like it's not good to look at.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you wanna look at something, like, you could do the one-to-one comparison, so like. You can put in a 40 big blind symmetrical range in the GTO wizard, like, let's not look at ICM right now, just to show the comparison. You can put in put in the exact same sizings, and then you can compare the outputs. Did it freeze?
I think since the range change is actually part of ICM strategy, I think we shouldn't focus that the ranges are different. What we need to focus is like how the similar textures are played different and for what reasons and how the sizings are changed. That's the really important stuff.
I agree.
Just try to see the differences. I don't mind if the range is not the same, right? I just wanna know like, how does it play differently, you know? So here it's raising 22%, whereas here it's raising 27%.
Your screen is frozen. Is that a me thing or is that?
Yeah,
No, there it
refresh.
is. Okay,
Yeah, sometimes Zoom lags.
alright, it's working now.
So.
But I'm
We
all
check raise
open
less in ICM, you're saying, Louis? Well,
for
we have
now,
fewer
yes.
fours to
For
raise,
now,
right?
yes, and it seems to be picking like, usually you're gonna go a lot like upper dangler to the pair card. That's so 5x here, and it seems to be picking a little bit less of like jack five is
Well-
never used, like
Our,
queen
our value
five.
drives our bluffs, right? And we just have fewer trips here.
Yeah. So it seems to be using the fives less. When it's ICM, the upper dangler,
What is the best bluff here?
and then. See
King three
how
suited?
we are mixing sometimes with our four at Chippy V, whereas here, no, I don't see a single four. Not raising.
So we slow play less, potentially?
And then let's look at the top pairs. King, queen versus king, look at this. Okay, top pair here, not raising so much. I would always raise it. Raising more often at ICM.
Not much there.
So it's
Not
also
much,
not
right?
like, one thing you're also gonna need to do is, so there's 3 ranges we kind of need to look at here. You need to look at one where you're
Opening range?
covering. Yeah, well, you just need to look at one scenario where you're like similar stacked or covering and one where you're covered. Cause I
Mhm.
think
Yeah,
the
yeah,
post flop
yeah.
scenarios are gonna be wildly different in those scenarios.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true.
Well, what scenario would you like to look at?
Okay, well, so we're comparing the raising range, the aggression frequency. So look at one where we have a lot to lose. Go to a final table.
Do you think you have 10% of the field is more to
Not
lose? No?
No, just click final table. Let's use the one extreme. I got an idea. I can help navigate this.
Okay.
So you use 8 max.
I mean,
Alright, so we need to find a scenario in the big blind where we're like middle of the field and a big stack open. So like 40 opening. And 32 defending. 32 is
There's
a little
a
too much.
48 and a 26 right in the middle with the 6 in between in the small
Top
blind.
one, you could have hijack open. He's got 30 and then we're in the middle with 17. There's a couple 17s, a 16, a 15, a 12, a 20.
that's
Those are a lot of
short,
numbers.
no?
I'm having a hard time finding.
So the very
The
top
very
one,
top
if you have
row, the very
hijack
top row.
open, we have a middling stack with 17. It would be 30 versus 17.
The average 17.
So you need a little bit more, otherwise the check raising frequencies get a little straightforward at
We're
17.
gonna
There's no-
jam super heavy here, no?
Yeah, there's no play. Like you really need the average stack to be closer to
Hijack
30 or
open.
40.
Hijack.
What
open.
about 33 average stack? There's a 60 in the, on the button.
Like we're gonna.
Or sorry,
jam heavy, no?
not that one.
Yeah,
It
you're
need
not
to
gonna,
be 30, 35, something
you
like
need like,
this.
you need like.
Now, Louis,
So-
all the way to the right, it has
I wish I
average
could
stack.
draw.
We know.
Oh, wait, hold on a
So-
second. What are these two different ranges here? It says big blind versus raise first in. Oh, all in.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, there you go. That one's a good
48,
one,
yeah, that one,
Louis.
that one. That's the one I was trying to get us to.
That one, this one's okay too. Yeah, this one's fine. Cause there's a
Cut off
6, an 8.
opens? Against you.
Just button versus big blind, right?
Alright, so look, what you can do real quick is, go, you see the table schematic to the right? Ay, 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 ay.
Yeah.
So click big blind 26 and it'll drop down the risk premiums.
Yeah.
Alright, so
Ooh.
middle position, bubble factor is, so 15% risk premium. So let's see if we can find one better than 15. How about we try?
What do you mean better than
That's
15?
pretty high.
Higher?
Alright, like, please just let me talk. Alright, so try 54 and 22.
15's pretty high.
54 and 22.
You see 54 open and 22 defend, it's like 5 up. That one may be a little short in 22. Maybe try the 54 and the 32, the one right above it, cuz you'll get, yeah, it's gonna be too check jammy. Maybe the one with 32. Is this gonna, this has got some, but it's still kinda jammy. And the risk premium is higher here. You want something that's close to 20 risk premium. And that's like 30 average, if you can find that. So,
So that's the first scenario I picked, 42, 38.
that. Hold on.
20% risk premium.
Versus small blind.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the only issue is it's a blind versus blind, which we're trying to look for something where they're in position. That 54-35 might be good. This one might be okay. It's just.
20% versus cutoff, but don't jump very much.
Yeah, boom. So you can compare this range. This is gonna be a good one because he's not gonna go absolutely bananas post flop.
Okay, what kind of texture?
I mean, use the same board at first. Use the queen 4-4. And then
Yeah,
maybe you
I
can
think
just
that's
look
fine.
at a few different textures.
Yeah, it's something, you could start with the queen 4-4, absolutely, cuz I mean, the check raising range would be pretty static on a texture like this, right? Like, the bluffs should be pretty obvious in your mind. Like, what are some bluffs you guys think? Like 8-9 of clubs or 8-9 of hearts, maybe? Some king, jack of hearts? Those seem like good check raises.
ICM, I prefer to have one over most of the time. I don't get too out of line with stuff
8-6.
lower.
So
Mhm.
already, look at all the leading from the big blind.
Right.
I wonder what our range would do if we had an actual chippy V board there.
Well, he's
Yeah,
got,
you can compare that pretty easily, I think, by looking at this symmetrical arrangement.
so
40
I think there's a
effective.
lot less, I think there's gonna be way less donking chip EV and probably more check raising,
Like
right?
a 7-6-5 board.
So yeah, but
Yeah.
the question, like, why? So who covers the?
We're covered.
That's what I was trying to explain, okay? So like, there's a high risk premium here. We're covered. We have a lot to lose. So you want to be cautious post flop. So looking at that, I wanted to kind of compare the post flop check raising ranges, whereas in a scenario that we're not like taking into consideration payouts, right? Like, you can't just turn like, you're gonna be less bluff happy when you're second in chips versus first in chips. When there's a lot of pay jumps sitting on the final table.
So, but that was, if I saw that right, we had a lot of leading, right?
Yeah,
And I don't think that's gonna be the case in chip EV.
Well, that's one
Okay.
thing I was saying a little bit earlier is the donking strategy in some of these sims post flop. Is way more aggressive.
I forced it out.
But
just
what
one time.
what would be, so in your opinion,
Still
what
a
would
good
be
game.
the logic of why it's even using it that way?
I think it wants to push equity with its good hands and get folds with bluffs, is right away rather than play check call like bluff catch.
Also, if you look at the ranges, they're typically gonna be tighter when risk premium's higher. So you're gonna have less representation on the low textures typically.
Mhm. Yeah,
On
that's true.
specific. So like. The opener in a high risk premium situation shouldn't have a ton of 7x. Whereas the caller is going to have more 7x. So it's probably just leveraging that difference, right?
Mhm.
Even from the cutoff.
But I don't
I'm-
necessarily agree that he can't have sevens the opener, because like if someone covers, he can actually like open even wider than chippy V because he just has so big stack. Like if he's like covering, let's say like 2x everyone, he can open like much.
Yeah, but that's,
So
That's
we
not
are
this case.
donking a lot on this flop, huh?
Yes,
I thought we played check raise mostly on this in Chippy V.
look at this.
Yeah, I think you're gonna see some check raising shifting towards donking instead, for the reasons that you outlined, Ken.
Big blind dog, imagine that. Ugh.
It's just like a
What-
lower variance way of approaching it and still pushing our equity.
So what I see that's interesting is there's actually combos choosing this donk pot size, and I don't know if that's something. I don't know, if that's still the program sorting out like, the fractional errors or what, but that 50% size has definitely got some stuff in it. 40 combos almost.
Yeah,
And what are the bluffs?
I mean, it's queen,
Jack
7,
ten
7,
off.
pocket deuces. I don't know.
It's picking, oh,
King 6.
so for Jack ten, it's picking clubs only.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Are all the unders to the queen picking clubs? And maybe if you have an over, like the king high ace high, are they using hearts and clubs? Or hearts?
Mostly
looks-
clubs unless two over. To
Yeah,
the
the
side.
sizing up is definitely with clubs.
I would think so too, Peter.
It seems so crazy.
I see the donking is more relevant to me, and I'm not talking about the solver now. When you have the other guy covered, right? When you're donking into a shorter stack. So is this the opposite of that?
I mean, I'm still having issue. I'm still having trouble parsing the fact that we donked this much in Chippy V. I thought this was just a heavy check raise, so like I'm lost. I
Well,
mean-
you're at final table and you've got.
I think, but it's sorry, Kelly, go on.
It's okay, that's okay. When you're at a final table and you're donking into a shorter stack, that's putting a lot of pressure on, when you've got the bigger stack.
Right.
And that works a lot, but
So this
scenario
is,
I have here, that's what I'm asking.
this is kind of an interesting texture also, like the fact that it's doing it so much in like Chippy V, we might wanna like shift the texture a little bit less donkey. So maybe like,
Let's look
Does
a
it-
rundown. Let's look a rundown like six,
Let's
six,
just look
5, 4.
at this one
before I
real quick.
lose my thought, why don't we try like queen 6, or queen 5, 5?
Well, exact two combos I was gonna ask him. I think that might change a little bit.
I think it'll drive it down a smidge.
Oh, you guys.
Yeah, the 7's kind of the magic card, right?
Oh, there's a lot
Yeah,
of
7
check-
is very
lot
good
of
for
check
big
raise.
blind.
A lot of check raising. 23%. Wow.
Does it still, well, before you change it here, just make sure it doesn't donk like a madman. In the Chippy V scenario.
Is
Look
the other
Look how
texture right?
quick it is. It
Louis.
doesn't matter. Look at how
I
quick.
think you made GTO wizard rainbow.
Yeah, low, and the GTO wizard's not, paired.
Huh?
I don't
I think
know.
it's a paired but rainbow. Oh, no, okay.
Oh,
got
okay,
it.
I thought you hit queen 6-5. I'm sorry.
You need to color adjust GTO Wizard.
Uh-oh.
Alright, so there, the donking frequency has been nuked in the Chippy V scenario.
So that's seven
But-
magic, paired sevens is some kind of magical.
Look at
Yeah,
this. one.
I think there's just a lot of gut shots and things like that. You're trying to probably put in a tough spot. This is a little more cut and dry, I think.
So you
but-
don't half of the fives in your range.
You still go pretty bananas with donking here. Like the whole range, like,
How disrespectful is this?
Well, we've got a range advantage and a nut
Imagine
advantage.
that, you make it to
Yeah.
the final table. You make a 5 here and you dunk big. What is this? Like you're playing it face up?
They'll put you on a flush draw, man.
You're trying to make everybody think you're a real sucker, you know, you're. Is a six, that, look at that 6-4 suited.
Maybe
Is that
maybe you
clubs?
just don't care that you're face up.
Not clubs, all the other ones.
Oh, my God.
A
Even
while. Let's do a fun fun experiment. I'm gonna open Pio Solver since I got some payouts that I think are hold on one sec. And I'm gonna run a sim and then where it's got a high dom frequency. So I'll use this spot.
While you do that,
So-
can we look at the buttons or cut off whoever opened? Can we look at their flop strategy and compare that to?
This here?
The,
Yeah, they may be checking a ton, which might
sorry,
drive up our
the opener's
dots.
strategy, Louis.
I think they should be c-betting probably small a lot. But if they check a lot, that might be a reason why it drives up our donking strategy.
I mean,
So we
the
check.
queen 5-5. He's not. It's
Yeah,
not.
this
It's
one.
not certainly. It's
Hang
not
on.
the betting 100% range for sure. Sure, it's not.
This, we wanna have a quick look at this one first.
Jesus.
Yeah. We gotta know the opener's bet strategy before we can understand our response.
The bet,
Hey, Louis, you're gonna have to, alright, so I think it'd probably be better if you actually did it in Pio. You could actually, another cool feature that, PreFlop Academy has is you can copy paste ranges from their client straight into Pio or like HRC.
yeah,
So,
so you pick like
uh,
a range here, for example.
so if you open another window, so we don't lose this post-flop sim. You can go to tournaments and pull up this pre-flop range.
Are these the talking points they gave you?
No, this is me.
We were in the middle of looking at something.
Well, so if you want something running in the background or not, or you can finish talking about it and then we can run it in the background and just not look at it. Until like tomorrow or something.
Either way.
You have to be
So-
quite respectful.
What the hell do you want?
Well, I mean, if you wanna run it in Pio so you can actually see what the comparison is, like you just need to find the range and then you can
With
set it up and.
fictitious ranges.
Yeah,
No,
just-
they're not fictitious ranges. They're the exact ranges here is what I'm saying. What's fictitious about them?
Yeah,
It-
no, you wanna run the ICM range in a chip EV spot. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm
Yeah.
saying you could run this exact same spot in Pio Solver to kind of like
To
make
verify?
sure.
LP, you see the
Well-
boxes, see these square boxes next to can one of them copy range? Is something a copy? There's
That's-
gotta be a copy button, right?
Well, he,
Not
no,
their
he's in
po-
the post
not in
flop
their-
one. He
not
has
in
to
their
go to the
post-flop
pre-flop
trainer.
one.
Oh, go to pre-flop that. You wanna see the pre-flop range, right? Is there a way to
Yeah.
copy it? That's what you're looking for, aren't you?
Cause
Well, I don't know. I was kind of hijacking the thing. Do you guys even care about the Pio thing or not? Like, if you guys wanna keep doing it, you don't
I'm
have
a
to worry about it.
trusting guy, you know, you know?
yeah, Danny, the one thing with Pio is if you wanna put in these ranges, if it didn't have a copy. A way to copy it in, you'd have to put them in individually, hand by hand into your range.
Yeah, it'd be a pain.
Yeah, but Galen said there is a copy feature, right?
Yeah,
There is.
Louis just won't look at it.
No, I'm asking you, what's,
Click any one, it doesn't matter. Click one.
anyone,
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah, let's just see if we can figure out how to copy any range at first.
I know how
this-
to copy
This
it.
one's a big spot. We're all
I
quite
know
even.
exactly how to copy it.
You
Raise,
see
There
the
you go.
scales?
Okay.
The scale, yeah, there you go. Sorry, not the scales, yeah, that
yeah,
thing, and then,
that's all we wanted to see is how, for the people with Pio, how do you copy it?
it's
Right,
key
so-
on bio.
you copy it right there, convert it to Pio, then you can paste it right in there. It's kinda convenient. If you do some of that kind of stuff.
Oh, so you can copy it in the Equilabs too.
Yeah,
So what is the bet range? Back to what we were looking at. We were trying to find out when we check, what is the cutoff betting strategy, right?
Yeah, which is this.
Yeah, is there more checking basically on the final table?
42% checks. What's it in GTO Wizard?
42%.
No, in wizard. Oh, it's the same. Oh,
Must lay down.
I'm misplaying these pair boards,
Huh.
man. I always just bet one big blind.
Me too. Most of the, well, see, I do check more on fives and
Hold on, look
sixes.
at this.
CEV, one big blind is a thing.
Whereas here.
I mean, it's
mixed
for sure a thing.
Also.
no, but he means he's not checking 40%, I assume.
Oh no, certainly not.
Interesting.
Lewis
So
never
if
checks.
the bet strategy is the same,
Let's see
hmm,
the response. Alright. So ace eight here. It's check raising the ace of club, ace seven, the ace of club, ace six, the ace of club mostly, ace five, the ace of club. So here. Check raising also the ace of club. But not on ace five. Oh yeah, on ace five too.
Yeah, I mean,
We got trips.
Okay, the five, yeah.
does
The
the opener
kings.
have similar, do they have less 5x than in chip EV? I'm trying to
For
discern
sure they
like what
do. They do have
factors
less,
drive
I
up
think.
the donking.
Yes, slightly less. Cause they don't have queen five. But that's the only real difference I see in the range. And
Hmm.
also king five, it looks like king five is less. Less frequent. Like it's in there, but it's not in there at the same. Percentage that the chip EV is.
We have more pairs. Our range in general is a little stronger. But like,
So look at the top pairs. That's the first difference that I can see between like chip EV. ICM, the top pairs. They almost all. Not. They almost don't raise, whereas at chip EV, they almost raise a sliver. Almost all of them raise a
Yeah,
sliver.
Well, this is the covered scenario, or like the high risk premium scenario.
Yeah,
So like, now if you found one where the risk premium was very low for you and high for the other guy, it probably would be on the other side of the spectrum.
before you leave, can you check the donk range one more time?
the donk range.
Yeah. Yeah, so all those queen slivers are just donking instead of going for a check raise. It's like too thin now,
yeah, your
but
equity,
yeah.
your equity threshold in ICM has to be a bit higher.
Yeah, the other thing about donking as opposed to check raising really is bloating the pot in an ICM spot. Whereas donking doesn't let your opponent polarize a bet on the flop even as well.
And people don't raise as often when you donk as they should.
Donking
Either.
is like 30% of the strategy. What do
It's
you do
wild.
against the donk?
Yeah, so it, like
Good
you
question.
said, Peter, it's like similar accomplishing, but you put fewer chips in, keep the pot small.
It almost forces you to play face up when they dunk into you.
A lot of times though, the in position player is just gonna check back, right? And then realize some equity too, right? So,
True.
so you're
I
just
think
putting them in a spot where you're pushing your equity.
part of it may be you're happy to win what's in the middle. You don't care about getting an extra chip out of them and check raising. You're like very happy to just take down the 6 as is.
It also has to do because you're three betting your medium to strong pairs here a lot less, so your range has a lot more has pairs between fives and queens now.
Definitely, yeah.
So
There's no
what Daddy
aggregate
was saying,
reports, right?
your range as a whole is stronger.
Yep. Alright. I am happy.
Something that,
It would be really interesting to look some of the like common ace high boards that like in cash game what often happens is like we check much more ace high boards because like the big blind's defending strategy is like tighter, and to look how similar scenarios are in ICM.
So something
shall
that's
we examine
interesting,
the
something
low
that
risk
just
premium?
came to me is on the, when you have that, board earlier with the risk premiums on it.
Yeah,
I think there would be value in studying those different combinations and seeing how the risk premiums, try to figure out the heuristics of how the risk premiums are figured out.
The
And
risk
I know it's all
premiums-
mathematical. I know it's all mathematical, but
It's-
I'm talking about generally when I'm at a table, I'm thinking, hey, I got two short stacks over here. I got medium stacks over here. I'm a medium stack. You know, I'm generally figuring out what my risk premium is, not accurately, but you know, trying to say, hey, I need to play tighter here or looser here or whatever. And it would be at on my own. I'm going to go through. I want to go through these and
alright,
see
well.
see
quick-
that different scenario some other time. I'm just saying, I just see value in that.
How much risk premium do you think you got here? Big blind button with the 6 and a 12 here.
Right. It'd be fun to guess that. See, I don't know.
It's high.
I think it's going to be like 17 or 18.
Not that high, only 15.
It's pretty high.
Only 15.
Only
15 is also pretty. I mean, add that 15% to your pot odds.
That's
Yeah,
a
you
lot
need
of
50%
jamming.
more.
So we
Should we
need,
switch it around and do the low risk premium spot?
this 32 if we go against MP.
The big stack's always gonna have the biggest stack's always
Ah,
gonna have the lowest
see?
risk premium, right?
Against MP here,
Oh,
Unless
it's
it's
higher
against,
with
unless
32.
it's against a bigger stack.
You could do versus hijack or cutoff here.
I
MP
mean,
is still
MP
gonna
against small
have,
blind. MP against small blind, for instance, is probably like MP has very low, like probably like 5 or 3 risk premium against this small blind. Because like
okay.
if you
And then against hijack, it's minimal. So we saw one where we had high risk premium. Let's see if
Mhm.
it changes with at least our top pairs, right? Okay, so,
which one are you looking at? What are you doing right now?
oh, look at this.
I think we're gonna do the same board, but have the big blind be covering.
I
Shave the
don't-
risk premium in half or so. Or more if we could find one.
Okay, okay,
See
so
how things
hijack.
shift.
but against big blind, he has pretty big risk premium, right?
No, we're playing from the big blind. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Against the button.
No, the hijack here.
I think the
okay.
previous one was cut off, but, yeah, we should try to keep it as consistent as we can, change fewer variables.
You're looking at the same table arrangement, aren't you?
So it seems like this is,
no.
you know what this seems good for? It's like instant HRC solves. When we are reviewing
Right.
hand histories and we have a spot, you can just plug that spot right in.
Yeah,
Not only see the pre-flop solution, but the post-flop. That's what this seems to be good for.
Yeah. That's right. That's
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like all this feels kinda like. This exercise, I'm not getting anything out personally, I'm not. But I think it could be great. I think looks like a fantastic tool for reviewing final tables and the ICM spot, honestly.
Yeah, it does. Like, this is basically what we've been waiting for years.
Yeah, this is gonna put a big dent in HRC, I think. That's what this is going against, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a GUI version of it, basically.
so. What is
now
half
that
pot
we
sizing?
don't have
Okay.
risk premium, we raise a lot more. A whole lot more.
How much do we cover by?
2x.
Okay.
This is kinda different cuz the stacks are like half the effective stack, right? I think the other was like 30 big blind effective.
Ooh,
Did you log in the GTO wizard with the wrong login or
No,
did you let it lapse?
Yeah, you don't-
I think they removed my account again.
Oh, it is the first, huh?
Yeah,
Go to a mug.
yeah. Alright. So with less risk premium, what about top pairs? We check raise a lot more top pairs now.
Big
So
blind's
are
got
we
a lot
still
more
donking?
equity. Yeah.
Is
There's still some donking, yes, but
Is this
less
against
of a
a what? So is this prior a small raise like 20%?
If you look at, I don't know, actually.
This is.
Yeah, so look
small
at the top, look at the top, Romano. It says check, bet 20, decide.
I don't see. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, now I see. Yeah. Okay, so it's 20.
The problem with this example is hijack here in this example has way less 5x than cutoff did in the last example.
Yep.
Like what? He only has ace 5 suited. That's it.
But like, what does the 50% mean here? So when he bets 50, if he raises 50%,
Is the size of the check raise.
Yeah,
It's that, yeah, it's a 50% bet based on the size of the pot.
oh, okay, so it raises like 3.5 here.
Oh, is it not 2.5? No.
So the pot is
We'll click raise, we'll see exactly what it is, what size 50% adds up to. So it was 4.5, 4.9, yeah, almost 5. Can you go back? Pot was what? So 50% of, so what's it, 50% of your, is 50% pot plus your bet? Is that what the 50% actually is?
Pot size raise
Yeah.
is 3 times the bet plus the size of the pot.
Well, 50%
So
is
full
after you
pot
add the
would be
call of, after you add
8.8.
the call of 1.1. So then it would be 8.8. It would be a
Yeah, I
pot
said that.
size, so
So 50 should be 4.4. Even though it's not.
Yeah, you use 4.9.
Hmm,
no,
Maybe.
the raise should be 8.8 over the 1.1.
For
So
pot.
then 4.9 would be,
Oh, so 9.8 total is what you're saying?
yeah,
Ah,
Wow,
wait, really? That's the raise size, not the total size?
yeah, it's
Oh,
the raise size over the last bet.
I'm totally lost now. So what how to interpret it then?
Okay,
that's a check raise. Hijack calls, we turn a card that completes the flush. I just wanna see how the big blind plays. So you can check raise with a hand like the ace of club. And then the club completes and then you bluff. Ace 3 off. Look at this.
All in, you're just ripping it.
Yeah,
And are
What
we
is
the
that
shorter
turn?
stack or the deeper stack?
or the big stack here.
So when we block all the nuts, that's just max, that's max pressure.
Yeah, we check raise on the flush draw board. The flush completes, we double barrel turn all in. With like, look at this, jack 9 offsuit with the jack of clubs. Jack 10 off with the jack of clubs. You know, the 10 of clubs. I'm gonna refill my coffee.
What's the 6-2? That's just a flush.
Seems like some crazy stuff.
I wonder why it's not using the king 8, king 7, king 6. I wonder why it doesn't wanna use those. I guess because it wants to have 2 high card blockers. The 9X are pair and flush redraws. Jack 10's a flush draw and a redraw to a straight. Queen 10's a pair. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to really gain heuristics out of this, I think, doing it this way, honestly.
Yeah, so actually with the jack tens, there were no non-clubs in range at this point.
So the proper way to do this, and the way I was trying to explain earlier is, yeah, honestly, we're just trying to guess right now, like comparing it to like these symmetrical chippy V scenarios. What you can do is you can solve these ICM ones like this, and then you could run the exact same spots in Pio, but without payout structure, so they could be chippy V. And then you could have a one-to-one comparison. Which would be which is the best way to do this.
Yeah, I agree.
You hear from my HRC comment?
Yeah, I was listening. Yeah, it is. It's definitely, it's definitely good. With comparison to that, as far as like.
I
Competing
think
with
it's the new
HRC.
nuts.
Well, so the one thing that HRC does that Poker Academy doesn't do is it uses static inputs. So like the ICM structure is always the same. The PKO structure is always the same. Whereas like with HRC, you can customize that a little bit better.
Right.
So
Right,
if you
right.
wanted to look at like a 10,000 man field versus like a 200 man field,
Right.
it's gonna make the bubble factor and the risk premium pretty variable.
HRC is always gonna have its niche, I guess, but this is really good for when we do our studies.
Yeah, you know, it's like, it's the same thing. It's like Pio to like GTO wizard, right? Like, if you really wanted to get in the nuts or like in the weeds with something, GTO wizard's gonna be limited compared to what Pio can do.
Yeah.
Same, it's the same thing with this. Like HRC is going, if you really wanna look at a spot, HRC is the way to do it. The other thing is like you can kind of lock and customize ranges with HRC. You can't really do that with this. They don't have a, oh wait, no, they do. But you can't lock certain scenarios. So like, you can't have like this range versus that range and lock their check raising range to this and see what the response is, right? But HRC, you can do that.
I'm curious to look at a classic overbet texture and see on a FT if we still use so many overbets or if they get
That's a
sized
good.
down.
That's a good. So let's look like what is it like 8 for
9,
deuce
5,
sucking?
3, or yeah, something like that, yeah.
You don't. Would be
I
my
wouldn't think
guess.
so, but so far we haven't seen like too many deviations from,
So if we could find let's say a chip leader against a mid stack button against big blind and like 9-4 deuce or like these overbet boards, you know. Eight, 5 deuce rainbow.
I think
Stuff.
Louis is still getting more coffee.
Just a
Oh,
quick,
he's there.
Oh, you're back, alright.
quick second.
Also there are also overbet on rainbow broadways, like ace king 10 stuff.
Alright, I needed to reactivate. No. Mouse. Alright. Alright, so we were looking at what exactly? Or actually, what do you guys wanna look at?
Yeah, we were talking about we would want to compare overbet boards through that ICM solutions. Like how does it like? So could you find like chip leader against mid stack, button against big blind, and like these 9-5 deuce boards and kind of like where we overbet generally.
Okay. So first, I'm just gonna look for the board real quick. Like we say, like Jack 10 something, Jack 10-3 with the flush draw. How often do you think there's overbets here? On Jack 10-3?
It's a single raise pot, probably not as much as you think.
No? Alright,
Try a texture like 9-5 deuce
Deuce.
rainbow or something.
Yeah.
Button versus big blind at 40, there'll probably be some large betting here.
okay, pot size?
There's a little bit above, yeah, but
How
yeah,
about pot size? That's what we get here,
seems reasonable.
yeah? Alright, and then we hit it here. A final table. It
Yeah.
max.
So you're wanting to find something where we don't have a high risk premium? Is that what we're looking for?
Yeah, probably.
So like.
We could look at reverse too, but probably first time is like the chip leader against mid stack probably would be the
That's
good
gonna
way
be a
to
pretty,
start.
This
that's gonna be a
one,
pretty high, that's gonna be a pretty high risk premium. Cut off, you're saying cut off versus big blind? What arrangement are you looking for? So like a not high risk premium spot for us would be where we don't
60
have to
versus
risk.
48. Yeah, that one.
48 is gonna be high risk premium. 48 would put the
Oh,
chip
yeah.
leader in a pickle. Like he's
Hmm.
gotta be somewhat respectful. Something like that 54-18 is going to be very high risk premium for the big blind and not for the button.
how about this one? 40 effective.
If he loses the pot, this is gonna be.
What if you go down to, we have
This
a
should be high risk
94,
premium, right?
94 in the big blind, make him play against the 34 or something?
We're looking
It's-
for a
it's
big blind button
cheap.
here, around 40 big blind. effective.
Oh.
So this one,
Well, we got 70-48.
Well, just look at the risk premiums. You can look at the risk premiums and you can just kind of like pick them out. Anything where we can basically get knocked out effectively is gonna be high risk premium for the button. And the big blind. Like,
how about like 13%?
that's
That's
pretty
high.
high still, pretty high.
Really high?
We're
Yeah, I
looking
think
for like under
under 10.
7.
I mean, this solution is actually
Yeah,
would be
against
interesting.
cutoff.
Why not just take this button against big blind here?
We can do it here against cutoff. We have 8% risk premium.
But the cutoff is 24 big blinds.
That's
What
the
are we,
idea.
what
That's
are we
why
wanting
have,
to look at?
that's why we have lower risk premium, because his stack is shorter.
You're not gonna be able to find one that's 40 effective, Louis, that has a low risk premium unless the guy's got like 100
Yeah.
big blind. Like the bet, alright, so for example, you see that 54-18, if you go up 28 effective, 28 average? That one's gonna be like a massive risk premium for the big blind and like no risk premium for the button. But it's only, no, the other one, flip it the other way around. So up,
Five up.
stop,
Stop,
stop.
2 down. That one.
So look at the risk premium for the button here and look at the risk premium for the big blind. The big blind versus the button is 15. Okay, it's the highest at the table. Versus the button should be like non-existent.
5, perfect.
So this is like non-existent. The only challenge here is, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just gonna have some like jamming, like the rate, I think the flop is just gonna be jamming into this guy on some textures.
But I mean, this previous board was pretty good with button against big blind. I think. I don't understand why not pick it.
We're trying to see what it looks like when it's reversed, when we don't have high. Risk premium.
You're gonna have to find a lower average if you really wanna find the extreme examples. Otherwise, you're still gonna always have like.
It's gonna be
close to
high,
10
right?
It's
Like
gonna
this
be
one
close
is
to
high,
10 risk
right?
premium. Yeah,
but-
anything where like one chip leader, where the chip leader is gonna lose a significant portion of his chips playing versus the other guy. It's gonna be a higher risk premium. So like. That's
about this
70,
one?
Click that
40.
one and look at the, yeah,
Like big blind button. Very low.
9.
Yeah.
Not that low.
This is good. No?
Yeah, let's start from here. At least it's something. That's it. That's very good. That's very good.
Yeah, if we want button, then this might be the best we'll get, cuz there aren't enough,
Yeah, this would be really interesting to see just how it constructs here. So
What kind of board?
Put 9-5 deuce or
we wanna
9-6
look at
deuce.
an overbet board, kind of.
So any like 10, 6, 3, 9, 5 deuce, those type of textures are gonna generate large flop bets.
We're doing 40 effective, right? Button versus big blind, reports. I'm gonna find the highest overbet frequency. Can I sort by? Sort by bet 7.
So big blind checks, of course.
8-5 deuce rainbow is the highest overbet frequency on Wiz in this spot.
Ooh.
So, yeah, it's more aggressive here. Like this scenario's betting pot. Yeah, you should have gave it over bet frequencies here, Louis, in the cutoff, just to see if it starts preferring the overbet. You didn't give it 150, so.
My sim didn't use it, so.
Well, that doesn't mean that it won't use it in this sim. Like if
Yeah.
it's, that's kind of the idea, right? We wanna compare to see if it.
Alright.
But I thought this was a good
We
comparison.
want overbets, Louis. We want them now.
Just give it 125. Well, do whatever you want. I don't know. Wizard uses 120, 125.
1 comparison, Danny. What kind of scientist are you?
1-to-1 would not be 150 then.
That's what his Pio sim was run with, 150.
Oh, okay.
You could put 125 there too, since Danny's got the whiz open. $1,058%.
That's
I mean, we could put a crazy like add an all in or something and see if it ever gets taken.
All in's
It's a-
already,
It's in there.
Okay,
So it doesn't look like it's taking
Only
The
3%.
3%. So it's a little bit more. There's 10 combos versus 11, almost 12 combos in Louis sim. That's the thing is, this range is way more stripped down than what Louis has. Because, it's Louis's range is so much wider. It's,
yeah, cuz it's chippy.
it's adding different components.
we don't have the offsuit nines.
But also, this is the button, hang on. This is the cutoff, right?
Yeah,
Let's see if I have it.
Ah, I'll do cutoff.
cut
But
off
cutoff
big
will still
blind.
have the offsuit nines and chip EV.
And I can just make it more EP to have a range that is similar to this, right?
True. Yeah, let me switch it to hijack and look.
Or you could use the exact same spot, copy paste the ranges and just run this one range.
Yeah,
But that takes a little bit.
Huh. Oh, but Louis has bet 80 here.
so yeah, this one is just 30-80. No overbets.
Alright, I found a pretty similar range by switching to low jack in wizard. It's actually very, very similar.
Yeah, low jack has offset tens.
And there's still significant, it's 16% B120 still. And 20% of B80,
Mm,
despite not having the offsuit nines. A lot of the same stuff, right? Tens, jacks, queens, king, jack off some as a bluff, ace nine a lot. Uh. Hmm. Interesting.
So it would be interesting to see like how much like that did. So did the previous sim was it sizing down? It wasn't so much. Or
It wasn't, yeah. Maybe a touch. But largely it's still a lot of big betting. It's more big betting than I really expected, frankly. I thought in ICM you can accomplish similar with slightly lower size.
yeah, not necessarily, but it's a thing for sure.
So very similar frequencies overall, right? And then what? How does it play? Like ace deuce, ace eight. Ace eight is checking a lot here. King eight. Ace ten, king ten. So what's the difference here? How do we play at nine? Very similar. We bet pot.
No
Is it-
giving small cookies.
And this is when the risk premium is low, right?
Yeah. Well, no, the risk premium for the cutoff is high.
Yeah, it was, right? This
Yeah.
is the
Yeah,
40
I think
versus
I
60?
think the BB covered, right?
Yeah. This one we looked up one where the risk premium was low for the big blind, so it was high for the cutoff.
Mhm.
Okay. So a lot of big bets, right? So how do we play against a bet small? So here raising 24%, here raising 21%. Folding 26%. So see, it's folding more at Chippy V, 31%.
It's also got more range at Chippy V though, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Nah, a little bit, not a ton.
No,
And actually-
we look at this, we change for a low jack.
yeah, cuz,
One of them is big blind, one of them is low jack.
Right, so they
Big,
are
big
similar.
blind is wider though, right?
Well, you got the offsuit queens, but, and the offsuit kings, but not a, they're
But the
similar.
thing
It's quite a
is,
few combos.
the big blind also covers the player, so that probably also adds to the equation that why he can defend more.
Yeah, I don't know if these risk premiums are gonna really like drastically affect things as much as we're thinking, because it's 9 and 15. It's not. I think it's about like that delta between them. You need one to be like super low, the other one to be super high, and it's hard to analyze something like that 40 effective. Because the stack ratios are just too off balance. You need somebody with like over 100 big blinds or something.
So hands like middle set, look at this. Play very, very differently here.
Yeah, I've noticed that they don't have as much slow playing with the, sets. I've seen that in almost all of the solutions we looked at so far.
So
Basically, don't slow play.
nines, look at
It's
this.
really bad if you slow play and it like runs out of 4 straight and you lose the pot somehow. That's like a
The-
disaster.
The one I have noticed is top and bottom two pair. That mixes the passive line with the aggressive line. So like
Yes, it-
9-4 here.
So you're saying top and bottom is still playing less here?
Well, it's the only one still slow playing. Like it's keeping that one in range to protect our checking range. But it's the only one that
A
I've
calling
seen
range.
so far that we would, yeah, calling range.
Yeah.
I've seen that in a couple of the other ones. I've been looking for, where's it protecting its calling range? And typically where we would like use top set. I haven't seen it do that once.
Okay, so the nines, hands like queen ten, play more aggressively.
Yeah, basically, we can put more pressure when we cover the opponent. That's like
Are there more floats? Like, Jack 3 suited, I guess, is one of them, like,
Honestly, he seems to be more sticky at the ICM.
Yeah, because he covers.
yeah, yeah, I
It's
think
like-
that's why.
Your range is also a bit smaller, maybe?
Yeah, alright, I'm team Galen now. I guess we need to like try this with the exact ranges and kind of compare that way, because otherwise there's too many competing, different factors.
Yeah.
It's hard to know what's pulling what.
Oh, you're done throwing shit at the wall, Danny?
Well, we've learned a few things based on this already. We're seeing like less slow playing. We're seeing,
Yeah,
some
we just
interesting
need to
donk
figure
stuff.
out like different patterns.
I mean,
We're
this range
seeing
is
you
pretty
still get
similar.
big bets.
Yeah, but then we have to learn different patterns for every ICM. This is just final table.
1246.
I repeat my point made earlier. There is no such thing as the GTO solution.
Damn,
You're-
your
you're-
team
you're a
fuck
GTO.
GTO.
You broke
You're a
Joey's heart right there. Did you hear that
GTO
sigh?
solution.
You're a GTO solution.
You're a GTO solution. Yeah, that's right.
What are you trying to say? Short stack?
He's trying to say, if you put the inputs in different, you'll get a different answer.
How could
I
you?
don't know.
And like, we all understand that, but it's still a GTO solution once you input
So I really
Good
like
numbers.
this
But-
here. Once we face a pot size, okay, if we go back here. It's using the pot size like 30% of the time. There's a big difference now. Between the two strategy. Finally, we see a big difference.
My point is that even on something as simple as pure chip EV, exact same, bet sizings, you get different opening ranges from the different GTO tools. You get different responses, just even pre-flop from different GTO tools. And that's either because the assumptions are different rake structures, or because the assumptions are that they've started with different ranges for different positions, therefore they get different response rate ranges. And since our opponents aren't actually, we don't know if they're playing GTO at all, or even which GTO set they're playing, even with their opening raises, we're getting approximations from all this. I still think we should study it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there's no such thing as the GTO solution.
There can also be multiple equilibria.
But
Yeah.
I think, but they're still pretty similar if you like compare different GTO solutions. They're often like pulling from very similar strings if you compare them.
It depends on
So-
what you mean. It depends on how close you mean by similar, but yeah. You're not finding Jack deuce offsuit in one. Well,
Yeah. That's
but the differences are striking. You know,
So
I
look
don't
at
think I've
this
ever
here,
heard the-
against a big bet. Okay, against a big bet at chip EV, we raise a lot of 9x, a lot of them. And against a big bet at ICM, we just call with our 9x.
Oh yeah, this would be very logical to.
Here comes a
Well,
very big difference.
That's similar to like in cash very deep. You often don't like re-raise these top pairs. You just like check call them,
Yeah, of course.
and that it's like kind of the same. That you don't want like your top pairs are weaker in a sense, and thus you don't want to commit with them as much.
So one thing we noticed already. We don't slow play any sets.
Louis, on this solve that you have up, we do. Against the
Huh?
big bet, all of our sets are just calling.
Yeah, if they're ramming it, then we don't really need to, right?
Oh, great.
Against a small bet, we don't slow play sets.
Damn,
I
what
mean,
have I learned
if
there?
it's also a big bet, there again there is always less re-raising, so it
Right.
probably
Yes.
pulls from that too.
Yeah, because it's polar, right?
The thing is, in ICM, it kind of like adds all this stuff up on top of it. You know, that's how I think about it.
Oh, you know what else? Can we compare the cutoff betting strategy
Yeah,
to
This
see if
is-
there's with the PO to see if there's a difference on what he bets large and,
wanna look at the big bets?
yeah.
There it is.
It kinda looks close the same.
Well, look at pocket five, for example.
Yeah, fives is betting larger.
Sixes.
Well, sixes aren't,
Yeah, but frequency wise.
pocket nines are betting smaller mostly.
Not checking.
some of the eights. Well, it's doing it more with the like queen eight, jack eight, 10-8, 9-8.
Six.
Yeah,
Um,
it looks like it's basically from, oh, none of the higher ace highs. Ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack, ace 10 suited. They're never doing that. I mean, cuz his range could be additionally causing what we're doing here. With no slow playing.
we are in unmarked territory, so.
I'm curious, like on a fundamental level, how exactly the solve kind of incorporates ICM as a variable. Would have to like hear from one of their devs or something.
I mean, the
Maybe
way
that's a
We have
trade
an
secret.
idea.
like a like
When
an
you select,
an ICM model of your chip stack at the beginning and ends of hands and like a counterfactual regret.
so we looked at the few final table, but there's also PKO, which I really think is interesting. And then let's look at 17% of the field
That's direct bubble.
on the spot where we're covered. So that's gonna be high.
Yeah, how high is this?
So big blind versus button. So we're gonna be like what?
Will it be like 20 something? How high does it get?
Let's go for 22, cuz that's just a, oh, does it jam more at 22 or 18? Call, I don't know.
I wanna see the risk premium. Is that on the next screen? Or do they not have it for a non-final table?
I don't think they have it here. It's
On the
like,
bubble, it gets toward like 20, right? Or more?
it gets really high.
I
Right,
mean,
so
when we looked with crazy sixes, these ICM spots and bubble, like if you're like under 20, there are still like spots where you like really commit. But if you get like over like 20, like 30 or 40, you do much more safety stuff.
Yeah,
Is this guy
And then
shoving
also-
21% on bubble?
if you get under like 15 bigs, it probably also gets like similarly tighter.
Like it's tighter, but it's still like with some very premiums, it still stacks up.
Right, right. Yeah, Louis, cuz you can, if you double off the 20 stack here, you're like in great shape. You don't wanna torch your min cash, but also you're not feeling the heat as much.
Is it because button's just raising wider, so you get to fold out more of the range?
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
And you don't really want to free bet small because he can just 4-bet super wide, right?
Mhm.
Like he'll 4-bet like any suited ace and shit like that.
I remember like when we watched even like over some of the commits, we were actually pretty surprised because we thought that it's much more tighter, but it's pretty confusing at some in some situations. It's the absolute reverse.
The thing is, you need to win chips, especially in some of these turbo tournaments where like fucking it's just an all-win fest after. Like winning like getting some rejams or winning like an extra like 7 bigs, it's fucking huge, you know.
It also like really matters to like look what the like other stacks in the other tables are and like how much ahead are you of like it's basically all of the how much you can gain from other stacks getting out, It's all the same story. But this can be different in some different like tables. Like if there like isn't so much super small stacks, it can be a lot different than where like there are some guys like maybe 3 big blinds, you know.
Yeah, like whether you're a lock, it kind of pulls from satellite principles, right? Like, do you, do you have the min cash locked or no? And except there's still a game after the min cash. That's
I
the
mean,
difference.
in the tournaments we play, if you have 22 big blinds on the bottom,
You're a lock, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, most of us play the big field stuff. But sorry, on Toro people, but there's like 20 people in there. But...
Did it have queen jack suited rejamming on the bubble?
Yeah,
I don't think that's a thing.
It can certainly be.
I was looking up last night, like various,
Danny.
Yeah.
It's the range.
Yeah, but in Wiz, I don't think it's a thing.
Queen jack suited, it jams like versus late position on the bubble. If it was versus early position, you just fold.
It wasn't though.
Oh really? That's what I've seen from when we've done all the rejam stuff.
Yeah, Wiz looks way tighter on the bubble, to be honest. King, queen suited, king, jack suited, queen, jack suited, queen 10 suited, king 10 suited, jack 10 suited, all pure calling big blind versus button on the bubble.
It depends on, what are you talking about, Danny? It depends on chip distribution. It depends on a whole bunch of different factors.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason, like, trying to draw these like overarching generalizing heuristic and simplifications is kind of bollocks going through all with like ICM stuff. Like it's so contextual. Like you gotta kind of just try to figure out like how a risk premium will adjust your behavior and, you know, go from there.
Right, that was my point, looking at the risk premiums on different tables.
You're not gonna be able to, yeah, exactly,
Right.
like.
So you can globally figure it out, kind of in your
Yeah.
head.
Queen jack 5 is gonna play differently depending on like the arrangements. With ICM and the risk premiums. Whereas
The-
like queen jack 5 is just queen jack 5 in like a chippy V scenario, depending on the stack depth, right?
Mhm. The average stack seems to be a key consideration here, cuz you're right, Louis, if
So-
I bumped it up to a 40 average stack, you do see a lot more jamming with in that scenario. Go again.
Yeah, it's like I was trying to say earlier when we were trying to find like a 40 big blind ICM scenario with like low risk premiums. It's a function of like the ratio of the opener to like the defender. Also plays a key portion, a point into that. So like, you're gonna have a hard time finding something at 40 big blinds or like a higher SPR, these deeper stacks with like a huge risk premium for like somebody. As opposed to like at 20 or 15 or something. So
Yeah.
like, I think the differences and like, the difference is the deeper stack you get, the deeper average stack kind of start to level out. Like it's gonna like approach a chippy V scenario. The deeper stack you get.
Can we go through some hands now?
Yeah,
Sure.
plug them in, plug them in, plug them into
Okay.
the new fancy tool.
Okay, I have a
I
hand.
nominate Louis' ace 10 hand.
Well, I'm gonna. I want to go first. So.
Yeah, do it.
There
do it,
was
do it.
you had a pocket 9 spot, if I remember yesterday, Lewis, that there was some really strong opinions about.